folks, how you doing today? Are you my foodies? Because I'm the Italian Diva and I'm bringing you today a very delicious dish. And it's called Cavatelli della Puglia. Now Cavatelli is the oldest pasta in Italy. And you know, Italians, we're all about food. In fact, it's like a religion for us. We love good food. And my food never has preservatives, no toxins, only natural. Hope you'll enjoy me today. So, let's get started. Now, when you make cavatelli, by the way, cavatelli means little caves. And we're going to have like a little groove inside that holds the sauce. So let me show you how we get started. There are different ways to make cavatelli. Some make it with 00 flour, and some make it with semolina flour. Both are fine, depending on what part of the country you come from. By the way, cavatelli is from the middle of Italy, up by Milan, where my mother's folks were from. So, let me tell you about 00 flour. The flour has to do with the grind on the grist mill, starting with very fine grind, which is 00, going all the way up to number 2 on the machine, producing semolina, which is also called durum wheat. If you were to feel it, this is very sandy, and this is almost like baby powder. Okay? So, what I'm going to do today, I'm going to make cavatelli using 00 flour. But I'm also going to add ricotta. Now, ricotta is like the Italian cream cheese. And when you buy ricotta, ladies and gentlemen, always look at the label. Because ricotta only has 3 ingredients: milk, vinegar, salt. Anything else, put it back. Because you don't want those ingredients. It's not natural. In fact, if you join me later, I'm going to show you how to make ricotta fresh, homemade. Okay? Let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is going to use a free pasture egg. Now, you want the chickens to be out in the pasture, girls and guys, because pasture-raised eggs eat everything. I'm sorry, pasture-raised chickens eat everything. Because chickens are omnivores. So you don't want them caged and you don't want them contained, because then they're being fed. You want them out on the range eating whatever they eat. Okay? So, here we go. We're going to add 1 egg, and we're going to beat it a little bit. Okay? And then we're going to add 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you know this, but 70% of all olive oil is fake. I'll tell you about that in one of my classes. Anyway, here we go. So 1 tablespoon of olive oil, and this is my seasoned olive oil, by the way, and 1 tablespoon of water. That's the only liquid that's going to go in here. And we're making this again with ricotta. Okay, can you say that? Ricotta. All right, so now we're going to take the ricotta, and I'm going to weigh this. And I always weigh with grams. You don't weigh in ounces. In Italy, everything is grams. So this is weighing about 425. So whatever the ricotta is the amount of flour you're going to use. Same amount of ricotta, same amount of flour. So I'm going to spoon this into the mix. Okay. Now this is a little bit soft, a little bit liquidy, so I'm very, very careful how much water and oil I'm going to add. So I only added a tablespoon. I might need more, because flour is very absorbent. It goes by the weather. Whether it be humid or dry, the flour is very reactive. That's why you need to weigh it. All right, so I'm going to mix this together. All right, and then I'm going to weigh my flour. But you know something? I want to make this more flavorful. So I'm going to take some fresh parsley, fresh Italian parsley, and I'm going to cut this, just the edges, not the stems. Stems are bitter. And I'm going to chop it, and I'm going to add this to the ricotta, ricotta mix. Okay? Just to give it a little more flavor. You could use dried if you like, but it's a little hard to control the flavor that way. Try to always use fresh. Okay? Just get it nice and fine. I'm going to put a little bit more. And I'm going to add a little of the basil, basilico. Okay, I'm going to make a chiffonade of basil, and a chiffonade is nothing more than adding one on top of the other, one leaf, and you just kind of lay it on top, and then you're going to roll it like a cigar, okay, and then with your chef's knife, you're going to slice. And always keep those fingers tucked, and just mix all this together. So you have a nice flavorful pasta. And we're going to add this to our mix. Now I use a dough scraper. You got to have one of these. Put this on your Christmas list. All right, add that to the ricotta. I'm going to mix this in. And let's let this sit a bit. You may want to add a little pinch of salt. I always use sea salt. Sometimes I use kosher salt. Depends on the holiday. So, we mix that together. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to weigh my flour. What you want to do is put your bowl on top, bring it back to 0. We had 425 grams of the ricotta. I'm going to use 425 grams of the flour. So you're going to spoon this in till it reaches 425. It's about 4 cups. 445, 429, close enough. Okay, then we're going to take this and we're going to dump it onto the board. All right, just put it right out there like so. And then you're going to take your hand and you just put it right down inside, and you're going to make a little volcano. Just kind of move your hand around. Okay, you want a nice berm, nice edge. You don't want to break that. All right? Then we take the ricotta and we're going to dump that inside the hole in the middle. Now you could do this in a bowl, but I like to do it this way. It's more traditional. So now you're going to take a fork and you're going to slowly bring the flour in with the ricotta. Now be careful you don't break it. Just slowly bring in the flour and the ricotta. Now remember, some people want to do it with just semolina, but there really isn't much taste with semolina and water. So this is very rich tasting. Once I've got this pretty much under control, I'm going to switch to my dough scraper. Okay. And I'm going to bring it in. Just fold it in. And you're going to cut as you do that. Just cut. That way you're going to get all that mixture in. So, now is where you're going to take your hands. Listen, my grandmother worked with her hands. She worked with her feet. Whatever. Whatever you're making, use everything. You don't need spoons. Now, take it and squeeze it. Take and squeeze. Oh, that feels so good. Squeeze. Okay? And what you want to do is you're incorporating all that dry mixture with the ricotta and the egg. Now you want to knead this for about 3 to 4 minutes, because kneading develops the gluten. And gluten is the elasticity of flour and the elasticity of dough. This is pasta dough, ladies and guys. It's not pie dough. So you can handle it. I know pie dough, they don't want you to handle it. This is different. Okay? So you see how that's coming together? And I did not add any extra liquid. Make sure you get it all incorporated. Pretty much done. This really builds the muscles, doesn't it? I don't have to go to the gym after this. Just push and pull. Push and pull. Use those back muscles and your arm muscles. Okay. Now this has to rest. I let it rest for about anywhere for 4 to 5 hours to overnight. So you can make this the night before that you plan to have it. And then you can cut off the pieces that you want to use, which I'll show you in a few minutes. That you don't have to make all of the pasta, but you can take part of it. So what we're going to do, we're going to wrap this in plastic, okay, and let it rest. So here's the plastic. We're going to pop this in the fridge overnight. Okay? The rest of this. So, that's our cavatelli. Now, I have the one I already did last night, so let me just switch this out. Okay. So, here's the dough that I made yesterday. And we're now ready to do our cavatelli. You don't want to add more flour to the board. Again, this is not pie dough. This is pasta dough. So, we got enough on here already. Because if you add too much flour, you're not going to be able to roll it out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of this, all right, kind of like this, and I'm going to just roll it. Now, if you got a lot of flour, it's going to slip all over the place. So do not add more flour. So just roll it out. Okay, and I want about a 1/2 inch diameter. Now, what is that? What's a 1/2 inch? I don't know, kind of like the tip of your finger. Roll this out till you get a nice long rope. And if it gets too long off the board, whatever piece that you've taken off, you can just do this. You can wrap it, so you can kind of move it around. Okay. Now, what you're going to do, 3 fingers. 3 fingers. 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? That's what you're going to use, your hand. Don't use your thumb, use your fingers. Now, if you're a guy, maybe 2 fingers. But anyway. So, what do we got here now? We have a little cavatelli, but they don't have the cave. So what I'm going to use is a gnocchi board. You could buy this on Amazon, a few bucks. You're going to take the board, take one of your gnocchis, and you put your thumb, and you're going to roll it off. You see how easy I did that? Look. You've got to keep it up like so. Don't keep it down here. So it rolls off. And this rolls off. Start about halfway, not too far up, maybe about halfway. And then you got to really press down. If you do this, it's not going to do anything. You got to press down and let it roll off. Okay? Press down and let it roll off. Okay? That's how you make cavatelli. So, this is going to make about 9 dozen. So you put some in on a tray, let them freeze, and then you can store them in a plastic freezer bag. And that way you always have cavatelli on hand. Okay? That's how you make cavatelli. In a few minutes, we're going to go over to the stove and we're going to make the sauce. And the sauce is from Bologna. Bologna has the name or the reputation of being called the Fat City because of its very rich tasting cuisine. That's where our Bologna comes from. People call it bologna. It's not Italian. And I am now going to shred the prosciutto. Okay, my knife right here. All right, so I'm going to shred it. That's what I do. Make sure you have a sharp knife. You know, what's more dangerous, a sharp knife or a dull knife? Actually, they both are. Okay, you want to always make sure your knife is sharpened. All right, so I've shredded it. And I'm going to take this over to the stove, and we're going to get started on our sauce. Saffron comes from flowers, crocus, and it takes 75,000 flowers to make 1 pound of this. So I'm going to use just a few threads, all right, like so. And I'm going to add it to water because I want to dissolve this. This is like gold. In fact, it's probably more expensive than gold. Okay, so let's go over to the stove. And while we're waiting for the water to boil, I'm going to add some oil to my pan. I put a tablespoon of olive oil in the pan. By the way, this is a heavy skillet. And I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of ghee. Now, ghee is clarified butter. You can make your own clarified butter, but lately they've been selling this, and I just found it very convenient, but it is the real deal. So you want to dissolve this first, and then we're going to add some carrots. Carrots add a sweetness that we're looking for without sugar. I don't cook with sugar. A lot of people put sugar in their tomato sauce. Now, that's not what you want to do. You can add some carrots, or you can add a half a teaspoon of instant coffee. What? That's right, instant coffee. So now I'm also going to take some cut up onions, which have been minced, and I'm going to add these. I'm going to change to a wooden spoon, because I don't like to cook with metal. We have enough metal in our body, so let's not cook with it. All right, you want to cook with wood. You should have a whole set of wooden spoons. And we're just going to saute these for about 3 to 4 minutes till they get soft, but not brown. You just want to soften them till they become translucent. Okay? So keep that on a medium-high heat. And then we're going to add sweet sausage, sweet Italian sausage. I don't use hot in this recipe because it has a lot of flavor, and I think the hot would mask it. So you could, but I don't like to use hot. So I use the sweet. So now that this is softened a little bit, I'm going to add the sausage. Now this is sausage meat. You could take link sausage and just cut open the skin or the casing, and then, like I've done, and just kind of break it up in the pan. And once this cooks, we're going to be adding our prosciutto. And I'm just going to let it cook a little bit. Another habit people make is they keep touching and stirring and touching and stirring. They don't let it cook. So let it just sit and cook. And then you could turn it. Don't just keep moving it around. First of all, you create steam. And you don't want a steam taste, you want a fried taste. I know in my classes somebody standing there constantly moving. That's not the way you cook. You let it sit. Let it get brown. Let's see how the water is doing. Ah, it's boiling. Okay. So let me get the cavatelli, and we're going to pop them in the water. Okay? So before we put that in, I don't want to go too ahead of myself. I'm going to add the prosciutto to my sauce. And I'm just going to move that around and let that cook. This is going to take about 3 minutes. So I don't want to rush this because I've got to go from here to here. And I want this to be ready. All right, next step. We are going to add a half a cup of white wine. I'm just going to wait a little bit longer. By the way, this is a Pinot Grigio, but whatever you enjoy drinking is how you're going to cook. Never, ever buy cooking wine. Cooking wine has salt in it. If you can't drink it, you're certainly not going to cook with it. You buy what you enjoy drinking. And the alcohol cooks out anyway, and you're left with just the flavor. Okay, in goes the wine. Half a cup. Okay? And a half a cup of chicken bone broth. This is the real deal. I'm going to add a half a cup of that. And we're going to mix that all together. All right, last step is going to be the cream. Cream? That's right, cream. And we use organic cream. Heavy whipping cream. Not a light cream, not half and half. Heavy whipping cream. And again, read the ingredients. If it has anything but cream or milk in it, you don't buy it. Half a cup of that. Now we're going to put the pasta in the water. We're going to let this cook a little bit. And in goes the cavatelli in the water. Now you want them all at the same time. Don't touch them. Just dump them. Just dump them. You don't pick them up because you will squash them. And you don't want that. Okay? Now they're going to sit on the bottom a little bit. Don't disturb them. Don't be poking at them. Let them just cook. All right? I may just move them just so it's even. When they float to the top is when you count how much time before you take them out. Now, I say 3 minutes, but they have to float first. And then we're going to add them to our sauce. Now, one last thing is going to go in here, and that's some pecorino cheese. Now, The word pecora means a sheep. So this is made with sheep's milk. Pecorino, all right, which means little lamb. This is pecorino, but it's also very salty. So I didn't add any salt in here because don't forget, we have the prosciutto, we have the sausage. It's pretty salty. So I'm going to add a little bit of pecorino, but mostly Parmesan Reggiano. Parmesan Reggiano, the milk that comes from the cow is only 14 hours old before it goes to the cheesemaker. That's how pure Parmesan Reggiano is. Okay? So, I'm going to add some of this. Okay, now I'm going to add the Parmesan Reggiano. I may add more later because I want this to be creamy. And I'm going to add my pecorino. And of course, fresh pepper. I'm going to do like 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. People say, how much? How much? Count to 10. That's good enough. All right, lower this down. You want this to reduce. It's called a wine reduction. All right, so, and the liquid will also concentrate. So, you know, let's taste this. So we got to see whether or not this needs any salt. Ah, delicioso. So let me get my strainer, which is a spider strainer. This is very easy on pasta. See how they're floating to the top? So now we count, we're going to put our timer on to 3 minutes. And after 3 minutes, I'm going to take them and put them in the sauce. And you know what I forgot? I forgot my saffron. Let's put that in there. Wow, look at that color. Just beautiful golden. You want to bring this to a gentle boil. Now, what do I mean by gentle? Where it's not rolling. You just want, remember, it's cream. And you don't want to be harsh on it. Just a gentle boil. And then we're going to add that. So 1.5 minutes left on the cavatelli. They're looking great. Okay, you see how much they've grown. Oh, this is going to be beautiful. Make sure they're all up. Yeah, 3. See how gentle this is when you lift it up? You're not breaking them, just lifting them. You don't dump them in the sink and then pour cold water. There's a lot of habits that have kind of gone through the ages that people think that's the right way. I'm teaching you the authentic way. Oh, here we go. So I'm just going to move these around gently. And I'm going to add some parsley and some basil. And just break it up. You want to add a little color. So this does the trick. And also adds flavor. Let's shut it off. How's that looking, guys? White wine, bouillon, butter, cheese, cream. What could be bad? Okay, we're going to plate it. And I am now going to use a spoon because I need to get it out because I want some of the juice. All right, here we go. And there we have, this is Cavatelli del Puglia from the northern part of Italy. We made the cavatelli with the 00 flour, with ricotta and an egg. And we made a sauce of bouillon, white wine, butter, saffron, prosciutto, and sweet sausage. Yum, yum. Delicioso. And here you have it, folks. Cavatelli al Puglia with prosciutto and sweet sausage. It is so delicious. And what is food without pairing it with a very good wine? In this case, Pinot Grigio. Italian, of course. Yum, yum. Let's try it. Wow, fantastico. And as we like to say, una vita senza buon cibo non è vita. A life without good food is not life. Ciao, ciao.